What is going on, folks? Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who are new, this is a roaming prepper channel, and this is a situation report. I do this every Monday afternoon, or I try to. Essentially, it's a compilation of a bunch of public releases from media, government reports, corporate reports, stuff like that. It's something I get as part of my job. Certain things I can't share, but if it is a public, how shall I say it, a public source item, then I can definitely share it because you could technically find it on your own. For those of you who are new to the situation report, it goes by region of the world. So starting with Africa, it's not necessarily by continent, it's by region, and then by country within the region. So no further ado, and I apologize, we just had a bunch of rain and the dust got kicked up, so now my sinuses are playing with me. Starting with Africa, Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, there's little hope for a robust truce with M23 rebel group. Congo has been having serious issues with rebel groups. I've been covering this, or this has been coming up in these reports now for a substantial amount of time. The recent truce between the Congolese government and the M23 or M23 rebel group, along with an earlier DRC Rwanda peace deal, was expected to usher in a new era of regional stability, yet even the signatories show little hope. So unfortunately, they're not doing so well over there. Nigeria, that's from DW News, sorry. Nigeria faces hunger crisis as food needs rise across West and Central Africa, UN says, according to the Associated Press. Nigeria is facing an unprecedented hunger crisis, and the need for food is rising across West and Central Africa, while funds are shrinking, the UN Food Agency regional head said. You also got a figure between tariffs. I honestly think we're still seeing effects in the supply chain of COVID. Also, Ukraine is a huge manufacturer of wheat, so is Russia. And they're not producing as much because their people are in a war. So this was not unexpected. People actually talked about it. I mentioned it, but there are a lot of people who had seen this might be a possibility. It looks like it's coming to fruition, which is unfortunate. When you have a situation like this, then you start getting forced migration because the people get hungry, they want to move. And then you have other conflicts because people go into other countries, they start causing problems there. So, it is what it is. Sudan war losses by the numbers. Another one from the Associated Press. The conflict between the Sudanese military and Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group continues largely in the Darfur and Kordofan regions. I don't know what Kordofan is. Some of the deadliest clashes have occurred in the capital, Khartoum, and surrounding areas. Essentially, you have the best way I could describe what happened in Sudan is the Army and National Guard of different states and different areas all decided to take different sides. So it's not the military or the government against a rebel group. It's literally half the military against the other half. This came about conveniently after Sudan offered their port space to Russian and Chinese frigates. They were already having some squirrely issues in the country, and then they signed a deal, or were going to verbally make a deal with China and Russia to give them bases near NATO bases, and all of a sudden a war broke out. So interesting, huh? In any case, I'd avoid that place if you don't have to go there. I know that's not exactly on a lot of people's vacation list, but if you're a business person, you might have to go there for some reason. Yeah, I would not do that. Moving on, East Asia Pacific. Cambodia and Thailand. Cambodia backs ceasefire proposal to resolve conflict with Thailand. This is from Reuters. Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Manet said on Friday that he had supported a proposal by the Malaysian premier for a ceasefire with Thailand, which later withdrew its initial backing of the plan. I honestly need to dig into this more. The next article, also from Reuters, is Thailand-Cambodia border clashes continue. Heavy artillery and rockets fired across the border. I don't know what the nature of the issue is between Cambodia and Thailand, but there is some kind of situation, and honestly, you don't hear about it in the Western news. If it wasn't for reports like these or someone goes digging, we'd never know. So anyway, interesting. Another pair of countries having war. Okay, Europe, Moldova, Russian propaganda swamps Moldova ahead of election. This is from Euronews. Moldova's geographical position and political makeup make it a prime target for pro-Russia, anti-US disinformation. Yeah, Moldova, for those of you unfamiliar, you have the sea, you have Russia, you have, I'm trying to do it backwards in my head, so you have Russia, and then you have Crimea, which is kind of an isthmus, if you will, like a peninsula, and then you have Ukraine. Moldova is opposite Russia on the sea with Ukraine in the middle, if that makes sense. So obviously also could be a strategic thing for Russia if Moldova is a friend. They have Belarus to the north, basically surrounds the Ukrainians. Not sure where that will go, but very interesting nonetheless. Ukraine, Zelensky reveals Ukrainian protests forced U-turn on anti-corruption bill from Politico. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he reversed a controversial bill that would have kneecapped anti-corruption watchdogs because of the nationwide protests and the risk of upsetting Europe. Not a stable country there, I'll tell you what. United Kingdom, this is from ABC News. Doctors in England start a 5-day strike over pay. Thousands of doctors in England's state-funded health system walked off the job Friday in a 5-day strike over pay that the government says will disrupt care for patients across the country. Everything is a double-edged sword, whether you have capitalistic medical or social medical. There's always a risk. So again, if you're going to UK for any reason, for vacation or for business, be advised that doctors may be hard to get a hold of, at least in the short term. Moving on, Middle East, North Africa. Hundreds protests over water shortages and drought hit Iraq. This is from Arab News. Hundreds of Iraqis protested Friday against severe water shortages exacerbated by the summer's sweltering heat in the central province of Babylon, according to AFP correspondents. So again, this goes back to basic prepping 101, right? And again, this is a whole different country, different infrastructure, but understanding your area, do you have natural water available? Because if you don't, storing it becomes the only option. Storing water takes up a lot of space. It's also heavy. These are things you have to factor in. If you're in an area that gives prolific rain, that's wonderful. You could put up, rain catchers. You could put up rain barrels, other stuff like that. If you're out in a more arid area like I am now, it's a very different game. So you need to be alert to this kind of situation, especially if you relocate or change, or if you're traveling through another area. You know, if you're taking a vacation, you have to drive through Nevada to get to California, say you're going on vacation. Understanding you get stranded in Nevada, there's no easy water resource. There's no forest to find animals. So, plan those kind of trips accordingly. Moving on, Yemen, attackers fire on Cameroon flagship near the Red Sea in Yemen. This is from Reuters News. People in a wooden boat opened fire on a Comoros flag livestock carrier in the Red Sea near Yemen on Thursday, and the vessel was detained by the Yemeni Coast Guard, according to the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations. They're starting that little piracy thing again. They obviously did not learn when the British and American navies blew them out of the water, so they're starting again. Keep in mind that could be a very disruptive thing if they attack a bunch of ships in the Red Sea or block access to the Suez. That can suddenly cause a lot of problems. So again, this is a little further away toward Yemen, but still something to think about. And also, if you're taking a cruise, remember you're going into international water. So international maritime law is very different than American law, Canadian law. It's a whole different world out there. South and Central Asia, India. This is from Reuters as well. 7 students killed in India's Rajasthan after school roof collapses. Oh, that's terrible. Poor kids. Not really a prepper lesson there other than, maintain your infrastructure, personally. Western Hemisphere, Cuba, more than half of working age Cubans neither work nor seek work, and it's called On Cuba News. I haven't heard that newspaper before. More than half of Cubans over the age of 15 neither work nor seek work, according to data published this Tuesday by the National Office of Statistics and Information. And then we're bringing a lot of these people here who don't want to work, and they're not looking for work at home. Why the hell would they look for work here? They're here for free money. Some people may think that's unpopular. My family's not from Cuba, but we are from the islands. And, we're fourth generation military now. There's a lot of American Cubans who did the same thing my family did. They came from their island and they came here to work. Part of the problem is the economy in Cuba is such garbage right now. And then you add to that, it's a communist system. So you have that guaranteed income. It's funny money, really. And it could also be that people are just frustrated. Keep in mind, the American unemployment number is eligible workers who are actively seeking work. Right? So it can be used deceptively, because if you have an eligible worker who just gave up and said, screw it, I can't find the job, I'm going to stay at home, and does nothing, they're not counted in unemployment numbers. They would be counted in job participation numbers, which is all the eligible employees, all the eligible workers who are finding jobs, not just the ones actively looking. So there's a big discrepancy, because if people just stop looking, they can and often do fall off the unemployment number, but they are still counted in the job participation numbers. So we have to understand what's being said to us in the media, by the government. And both parties will do this. And news will do this too, depending on what they want to spin. So we as people, as civilians, as preppers, need to be cognizant of those languages and those nuances, because technically they're not lying. It's not disinformation, and it's actually not misinformation. It is factual, but most people don't understand the definition of what they're talking about, what the media is talking about, and that's how people get led astray. So educate yourselves. As always, understand and collaborate. Talk to other preppers, talk to people in my chat, anyone's chat. That kind of looks like it. Let's see, they have some analysis reports. Let's see, heavy rains lead to death across Asia in July. Yeah, they had quite a bit of rain there. Sectarian clashes in Syria, we all are hearing about that. More heavy rain deaths. Venezuela, wrongful detention and kidnapping in Venezuela. Report written in conjunction with such and such office examines the significant risk of wrongful detention. And that's another thing. You go to another country. That's why I tell people, if you're going to go to another country for vacation or for business, you really need to bring local currency. If you've never done it before, you can go to your local bank and tell them, okay, here's my checking account. I would like you to take, 300 US and give me Venezuelan, well, you can't go to Venezuela, but like Mexican pesos or, Brazilian bolivars, whatever. I can't remember what the currency is. And they can do it here in the US. And what they do a money exchange, and then they charge you a flat fee, which is usually in the single digits. If you fly and you get in an airport and do the exchange in an airport instead of a 7, even anywhere from 5 to 8% exchange rate, it becomes 25, which is a significant increase. That's a lot of freaking money, because you think about it. If you have $1,000 US and you want to convert it in an airport, they're going to take $250 from you. You're going to get $750 back just to do the conversion. Whereas if you do it via your bank ahead of time, you're looking at $80. That's a significant change. So again, knowing these little tricks on travel, knowing these little tricks when you're planning out whatever it is you're doing, these are important. In any case, folks, look, that's it for this one. This was pretty quiet, uneventful. A lot of the same stuff going on. Pay attention to your weather patterns. Pay attention to your geography, your flooding, storms. We're getting a lot of weird storms all over the place. Also, we are in hurricane season. that just adds to it, because you could get the hurricanes off the Pacific that come across they come across the Baja Peninsula and then through Arizona to Texas, and then they go to the East Coast with a bunch of humidity. You could get them just come right up the Gulf of America, and right up Texas, and they always turn right, and they usually like beating up North Carolina and Virginia, you know, all the Appalachian areas. So understand how those storms turn, what they can do in your area. Now's a great time. Clean your drainage, clean your gutters, make sure any bayous, arroyos, or other drainage ditches you have are cleared before you get the rain. So you're not going out there in a hailstorm or a rainstorm or a tornado trying to clear water so your house doesn't flood. Now's the time to do it, not when the storm hits. Anyway, that's it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. God bless, Godspeed. I will see you on the next situation report. You guys be safe out there.